Now introducing the Hamilton Hammers, the Augusta Lynx, and the 2027 NHL Winter Classic and Stadium Series. This is Threads, a monthly recap of hockey branding news only on Aesthetics. I'm Chris. Thanks for watching. But first, the 2026 NHL Draft in Buffalo is coming up at the end of June. And here's the logo. On first glance, the league's not really beating the boring allegations from recent years' draft logo designs, but I actually think this one is kind of clever. In all the years of branded NHL drafts, I don't think they've ever used the draft board itself as inspiration for the logo. And that's what we're finally seeing with this one. The 4 horizontal bars are stand-ins for the empty boxes that get filled in with the names of future NHL hopefuls throughout the event. The stars, of course, represent the teams that make those picks. In between is a broken dual stripe in gold and silver meant to represent electricity. It's a common symbol of the city of Buffalo, even seen on their flag. And a similar effect was used on the 2016 draft logo, the last time Buffalo hosted. Overall, this is a rather boxy shape, but it has potential as the basis of a future logo system. I could see later NHL drafts using variations of the draft board symbolism. The NHL has not had a standard system for the last few years after using a very identifiable design between 2010 and 2019. All right, that's more than enough draft logo talk. Let's get into the new outdoor game branding for next season. And let me just apologize for releasing this May edition of Threads in June. Things got a little busy there at the end of May with all the Hometown Remix news, so go check out that video after this one if you haven't seen it yet. On May 13th, the NHL revealed the logo for next season's Winter Classic. Just don't call it the 2027 Winter Classic. The year is conspicuously absent from this logo design when compared to almost every other edition, except the one from 2 years ago at Wrigley Field in Chicago. And the reason is semantic. Traditionally, the Winter Classic has been played on New Year's Day, and on rare occasions, January 2nd. But due to recent changes in college football conferences and scheduling, New Year's Day is getting pretty crowded for sports on TV. So the league has started to avoid the first and shifted to January 2nd or, in some cases, New Year's Eve. The problem with the latter is it breaks the numbering system. The next Winter Classic won't be played in 2027, but there was already a 2026 Winter Classic in Florida. The same problem arose for the Chicago game, played on December 31st, 2024, so they couldn't call it the 2024 Winter Classic, which was in Seattle, but technically, it wasn't played in 2025 either. Ultimately, this is not a real problem, just some annoying lack of consistency in the historical context. In the future, when we look back, it might be tough to remember what years these two games were played. But that's not really the whole point of the logo. It's meant to brand the next Winter Classic, where the Utah Mammoth will face the Colorado Avalanche at Rice-Eccles Stadium, home field of the University of Utah. The game will have a beautiful backdrop and a fantastically fitting logo with colors inspired by the state's natural wonders. In addition to the sky blue borrowed from the host team's palette, along with the snow-capped mountains and subtle tusk anchoring the W, we get desert sand and red rock accents. This easily sits among the best Winter Classic logos ever, if you ask me. When it first came out, I put together a quick tier list. Bottom row, F tier, has some early Winter Classic logos where the designers were still getting their footing. This is a bit embarrassing, but I realized after posting that I inadvertently swapped my C and D tiers. Here's how I really meant to grade these logos. The B tier designs are simple with great winter scripts. Now the A tier entries have some of the best color schemes and great iconography and typographic elements. But these three are my favorites, the true S tier Winter Classic logos. Utah, Seattle with the hidden Kraken eye in the N, and St. Louis where the W gracefully blends with the Gateway Arch. Looking at the group now in chronological order, you see some interesting things. In recent years, some logos have started to take on elements of the host team's brand. Not always, but the Seattle and Utah designs could not be more obvious. It's also fascinating to look at how the designers handled the rare repeat venues, from 2009 to 2025 at Wrigley Field, and 2010 to 2023 at Fenway Park. You can also see the way design trends have evolved and how different artists and decision makers handle the same subject matter. Anyway, let's take a look at the other big outdoor game logo that just dropped. On May 18th came our first look at the branding for the 2027 NHL Stadium Series. The Dallas Stars will host the Western Conference champion Vegas Golden Knights at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas on February 20th. The big star is the core of this design and could be taken as a reference to the Stars themselves, but honestly, it covers a lot of bases, Texas being the Lone Star State and the stadium being home to the Dallas Cowboys. But the green accents are definitely tied to the home team. It's a fine logo, but I find there's not really that much more to say about it. I considered doing a tier list for the Stadium Series group, but I'm not sure there's a point. These logos didn't start getting good until the past few years. The first batch, up through 2017, were created by fan brands and seem to be designed intentionally generic. Not sure why. Maybe the NHL didn't want the branding to outshine the Winter Classic, their outdoor crown jewel. Between 2018 and 2020, the league took the design work in-house, and you can kind of tell. The Air Force Academy design delivered an interesting concept, but ultimately, these logos lacked the polish of the ones created by the NHL's longtime agency partner in Fan Brands, who returned to action in 2022 with a solid effort. But weirdly, they went back to being generic for 2023 in Raleigh. After that, though, they really started going for fun. The 2024 design was unlike anything that came before it, while incorporating Devils colors, past and present. The 2025 logo really leaned into the Ohio Stadium identity, with the horseshoe shape and heavy Blue Jackets branding as well. And not to be a homer, but I think the 2026 design was Fan Brands' best outing so far. The pirate ship, the waves, the typography and colors, all absolutely spot on. The Dallas design for 2027 doesn't have quite the same energy as its predecessors, but it's still good work. I just think they tried to do too much with the structural roof framework from the stadium up there at the top. But that's just my take. What's your favorite Stadium Series and Winter Classic logos? Any chance we can get a consensus in the comments? May delivered lots of new branding, not just in the NHL, but the minor leagues too. We'll start in the American Hockey League, where the New York Islanders moved their top development affiliate from Bridgeport, Connecticut to Hamilton, Ontario. Last month, I reported on 3 names that had been trademarked by the organization, and then on May 21st, they announced what I thought was the obvious choice, the Hamilton Hammers. And it landed with a thud when they paired it with the dullest of logos. I can't really think of anything particularly nice to say about it, and I just decided to edit out everything I wrote today because it just came across as needlessly mean. I know, call me picky, but this is also a professional sports team that can and should do way better in 2026. So anyway, the Hamilton Hammers join the AHL this fall and will play out of the recently renovated TD Coliseum. Moving on, there's another new ECHL team coming to Augusta, Georgia, but they won't be taking the ice until 2027 after construction is complete on their new arena. On May 26th, they announced their name and logo. Welcome the Augusta Lynx. And I guess I should say welcome back, because it's actually the second version of this brand. The original Augusta Lynx began play in 1998 and owned the dubious distinction of becoming the first franchise in ECHL history to fold mid-season back in 2008. The name is inspired by Augusta's claim to fame, the Masters Golf Tournament. A golf course is commonly called the Lynx, but in this case it's a play on that term, spelling it like the big cat species, though in that part of the world it would commonly be known as a bobcat. The old primary color was blue, the new one is green, a reference to the green jacket awarded annually to champions at the Masters. And it's another solid logo package delivered by The Barn, who have clearly become the ECHL's go-to branding agency. They previously handled the New Mexico Goatheads identity we saw last month and the Tahoe Night Monsters a few years ago. They did not, however, brand the Trenton Ironhawks franchise, and it shows. We'll wrap up now with a few quick hits, and it's all PWHL, which is growing at breakneck speed, announcing 4 new expansion cities in the month of May. The Women's League will add new teams next season in Hamilton, where they will share an arena with the Hammers, Detroit, Las Vegas, and San Jose. Names have yet to be released, but each new franchise got the standard PWHL logo treatment with their own color schemes. Detroit, announced on May 6th, is black and red, which reminds me of Aesthetic's old fantasy league, the ECHL. We had a team called the Detroit Chargers using these very colors with a phenomenal logo suite. Ironically, the Chargers' name is already taken in the PWHL. Hamilton and Las Vegas were announced together on May 13th, with Hamilton going for maroon and yellow. We had an ECHL team there too, with rather different colors, but the Steel Cats name is still available if they want it. Las Vegas is going with the deserty cactus green and gold. And lastly, San Jose was announced on May 19th, with their color combo being orange and blue. All 4 teams will take the ice next fall. Presumably, they'll follow the previous expansion teams in Seattle and Vancouver by announcing proper names and logos around October, but wear generic word-marked jerseys for their inaugural season. That said, I would expect to see new uniforms for the Torrent and Golden Eyes fairly soon. And I'm still hoping for 1 or 2 third jerseys in the league at some point in the near future. Fingers crossed. And that's all for now. Thank you as always for watching. Drop a quick like before you go if you enjoyed this video, it's a big help. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. That's all for now. See you next time.